Hello, and welcome to MRA's 5-Minute HR Feed, the podcast where we share quick and practical information. In the time it takes you to go grab a cup of coffee, you'll gain insights into hot topics and pressing HR issues. I'm your host, Nicole Morehouse, and we're glad you're listening. Before we start, here's our usual disclaimer that the information being shared is not and should not be considered legal advice. Now let's dive into our topic.
Today we're diving into a topic that might spark a little debate: requiring post-secondary education when you're hiring or promoting employees. Your role, your organization, your industry, and probably most certainly your experience might have you on one side of this debate or the other, so let's dive in. Let's start by looking at the pros. Why do so many organizations require candidates to have post-secondary education? First, very legitimate reason is that the education can be a marker of a specialized body of knowledge. Look at fields like medicine, engineering, and law. These professions rely heavily on formal education to ensure that the employee is able to meet the professional standards required for the job. Second, a degree can sometimes signal a candidate's commitment and their perseverance. This is perception that we have that by completing a multi-year program, especially while doing things like working, being a student athlete, or having other outside of school commitments, can reflect on the person's resilience, their time management skills, their ability to achieve goals, and especially while they're doing this through adversity, these are qualities and attributes that are often looked for in candidates. And lastly, universities and colleges can sometimes equip students with soft skills. Soft skill lists could go on and on, but think of things like teamwork, communication, and critical thinking. They're harder to measure, but they're highly impactful to an organization when you have someone with a lot of really strong soft skills. So for many roles, requiring post-secondary education can be seen as almost like an insurance, like a safeguard, securing the idea that that person, when they start, they're going to be prepared for the job, they're going to have a strong work ethic, and all of the things that I just mentioned previously. But now let's pivot and let's talk about the cons of imposing a strict requirement. One major criticism is that you're going to be excluding talented individuals. Obviously, not everyone has access to post-secondary education, and that could be for a variety of different reasons: financial, geographic limitations, a vast array of different personal circumstances, or honestly by choice. Perhaps they are choosing not to pursue a degree. So if an organization focuses solely on a degree, you could be overlooking a candidate who is already excelling or has a potential to excel in the role. The candidate might have demonstrated that they are excelling in that role by their previous work experience, their current work experience, or they may demonstrate that they have the ability to excel in the role in the future by things that they are doing on their own that aren't post-secondary education initiatives, such as other self-taught self-exploration of other achievements. Another challenge is the assumption that the degree equals job readiness. Some might argue that real-world aptitude could be learned in the classroom, and others might debate that it cannot. So all of the soft skills that I mentioned previously, or that you can think of, some are going to say that they can be taught in a classroom and the academic setting, and then living in an academic environment with new people. Others are going to debate that and say that you can't learn that in a classroom, and you can't learn that in the academic bubble of a university, and that real life world experience is really the only way to achieve that. And finally, there could potentially be a cost factor. Do candidates with degrees expect higher salaries? Maybe, probably, maybe. And so if the degree is not required for the job, if there isn't a requirement that you could equate to having the degree requirement for the position, there's a potential that you're paying a premium that perhaps you don't need to pay. So with this, I challenge you to ask yourself, why, if you're requiring degrees, why is a degree required? And is your justification simply preference? Look at things like, do you have a track record of success with individuals with degrees? a track record of failure with those without degrees. Are you open to any degree type? There could be pros and cons to that. But if you are open to any degree, then that might be a signal that you have to relook at things as, then why is the degree required? It's also worth investing time in revisiting your job postings. Have you been listing a degree requirement out of habit, or do they really reflect the needs of the role? Periodically reviewing your criteria and your requirements for post-secondary education is not only going to ensure that your hiring practices are dynamic, but they're going to make this is going to help you make sure that you offer opportunities based on objective requirements. So with all this, what is the solution? We do hear that companies are moving more towards skill-based hiring versus having a post-secondary degree requirements. And in skill-based hiring, the qualifications are determined by what a candidate can do rather than by what diploma they have. Post-secondary education as a hiring criteria is neither inherently good nor bad. It's all about context. While degrees can sometimes signal readiness and knowledge in some fields, it's not a certificate of insurance that offers you a guarantee. So it's worth revisiting post-secondary education requirements at your next opportunity. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to subscribe and follow MRA. And until next time, hire wisely.
Thank you for listening to MRA's 5-Minute HR Feed. Be sure to follow and connect with us for more podcasts and updates. If you're a member and have questions, you can always connect with MRA's 24/7 HR hotline by emailing infonow@mranet.org or by calling 866-474-6854.